Across sectors like infrastructure, real estate, information technology, telecom, healthcare, and SME, a vibrant India continues to surge ahead, emerging as a market with enormous untapped potential and a destination for global investments. As an integral part of this growth story, the role of chartered accountants has expanded to a wider canvas, a role that is cross-functional, multi-dimensional, and multifaceted. The cornerstone of this profession was laid in 1949 by an Act of Parliament with the establishment of a statutory body called the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, or the ICAI.
It is a privilege for me to address you all as the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. ICAI has had the privilege to grow under the guidance of leaders who have a definitive direction to the profession through their vision, conviction, and belief with constant perseverance. They possessed the courage of making tough decisions to overcome the challenges and stood strong in the face of adversity. It is their selfless dedication, relentless commitment, and rich values that have helped us in attaining the phenomenal growth and brought glory to the profession.
ICAI is guided by a vision to be the world's leading accounting body, a regulator and developer of trusted and independent professionals with world-class competencies in accounting, assurance, taxation, finance, and business advisory services.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI, bears testimony to the fact that strong foundations go a long way in creating a unique and historic institution. ICAI is contributing to the nation's growth path with a model that defines excellence, independence.
A very warm afternoon to all. On behalf of the entire ICAI fraternity, I welcome you all to the celebrations of the Chartered Accountants Day. ICAI has completed 72 glorious years of independence, integrity, and excellence. And to mark this occasion, ICAI had also conducted a 3-day virtual CA program, today being the concluding day, wherein we gained so much from the fields of the sustainable reporting to the emerging technologies and opportunities for CAs. Over a period of time, ICAI has achieved recognition as a premier accounting body, not only in the country but also globally, for maintaining highest standards in technical, ethical areas, and for also sustaining stringent examination standards. And since 1949, this profession has grown leaps and bounds in terms of members and student base. This virtual CA program had strived to quench the thirst for knowledge and even dwell deeper on various strategies, innovation, and initiatives at a mega level. From gaining financial and tax literacy at CA as Vidya Mitra in nation building to startup knowledge, the knowledge that was shared on this platform by such eminent speakers was incomparable. Our theme for today is CA Foundation Day, remembering the glorious existence and envisioning the future. Now, before we proceed the program, I would like to extend my warm welcome to our chief guest for the day, CA Piyush Goyal ji. A great round of applause, please. He's our Honorable Union Minister for Railways and Minister of Commerce and Industry and Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Also, our President of ICAI, CA Nihar and Jambusaria ji, our Vice President of ICAI, CA Dr. Debashis Mitra ji. Also, we have amongst us our past President, CA Praful P. Chhajar ji, and a very warm welcome to all our present council members and even our acting secretary of ICAI, CA Dr. Jaikumar Batra ji. I would now be requesting all the present dignitaries to join us for the lamp lighting ceremony. I now request everybody to rise for the ICAI motto song.
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामुषो पुरुषो निर्मिमाणः निर्मिमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शितः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्द्वैत 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 एतद्द्वैत.
I would now like to invite the Acting Secretary of ICAI, CA, and Dr. Jai Kumar Batraji to kindly address the audience.
Our most valued invited chief guest of the day, CA Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable Union Minister for Railways, Minister of Commerce and Industry, and Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Honorable CA Nihar and Jambusaria ji, President ICAI. Honorable CA Dr. Debashis Mitra ji, Vice President ICAI. Respected immediate past President CA Atul Kumar Gupta ji, and our past President CA Prafulla P. Chajer ji, distinguished members of Central Council, including government nominees, members from the regional councils, chapters, including overseas chapters and branches and study circles, members, students, and all the stakeholders of ICAI, representatives from the print and electronic media, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to welcome you all at this 73rd CA Day. It is a matter of immense pleasure that ICAI has completed its glorious 72 years of independence, integrity, and excellence. I, on behalf of the Institute, extend a very hearty, warm welcome to all of you. We are extremely honored to have Honorable CA Piyush Goyal ji with us today, who in spite of his extremely busy schedule was kind enough to accept our invitation as the chief guest to address the gathering on this special day today. We welcome you, sir, from the core of our heart. Being a chartered accountant is by no means an ordinary achievement. And this prestigious qualification connects everyone towards the wider global community. I'm happy to share with you, sir, that ICAI had a very humble beginning of about 1700 members in 1949 under the Act of Parliament, and today it is the second largest accounting professional body with more than 3.3 lakhs members and approximately 7 lakh students worldwide, contributing to the success of individuals, communities, business, and economies globally. ICAI has over the years flagged its standings all over the world, and today it has pan-India presence with 5 regional councils, 164 branches, 65 continuous professional education chapters, 135 study circles, 29 CP study circles, and 137 committee for members and industry business study circles, and 42 overseas chapters and 26 representative offices, which are spread over 68 cities in 45 countries. The profession of chartered accountants is the most reputed, respected, and globally recognized profession. The CA qualification is the most appropriate qualification for business, trade, and industry, which enables a person to showcase his knowledge, skill, and experience globally and with immense career opportunities. With the noble profession, one can acquire world-class competencies in accounting, taxation, finance, business advisory services with dedication towards professionalism, ethics, and values, building a sustainable future. So these are the qualities of the CA profession. During the more than 7 decades of its journey, ICAI has always been proactively supporting all endeavors of the government as a part of its role in aiding towards better governance. As a regulator of the profession of accountancy in the country, the ICAI has achieved global recognition for maintaining highest standards in technical, ethical areas and for sustaining stringent education and examination standards. The Institute is making contributions to government authorities and various regulators. Today's occasion gives us a moment to ponder upon what we have achieved so far as the profession and where do we go from here to stand out among others and be of relevance to all the stakeholders, society, and the country. With these words, may I now request our Honorable President Sir, C.A. Nihar Jambusaria ji, to kindly deliver the presidential address. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, Batraji. Today's chief guest, Honorable Minister for Railways, Commerce and Industry, and Minister for Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Welcome to the Institute again, and it's our honor and privilege to have you here. Your words will mean a lot to our members. The Vice President of the Institute, CA Dr. Debashis Mitra, all the council members who are present here, our past President, CA Prafulla Chhajed, and all members present on virtual mode at branches, at regional councils, who are present to witness this ceremony. Friends, it is 72 years of glorious journey of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And I must thank on this occasion all the past presidents and council members who brought Institute to this level by their hard work and dedicated efforts. My best wishes on CA Day to all the members and students, and I am sure that we together will take profession to the newer height. On this Foundation Day, there are two good news today. The Council in today's meeting approved waiver of students' course fees for those students for those students whose parents or any of the parent expired due to COVID. And this facility will continue for a period of 2 years. Another good news is that half an hour back we received a certificate from MCA that our multidisciplinary partnership provisions have been approved. And on this occasion, let me link this to our Prime Minister's wish and the gift that he desires CA Institute to give it to him. First of all, thanks to Honorable Prime Minister for his best wishes on Sunday in Mann Ki Baat and even today. He expected that CA Institute creates large Indian firms. And let me mention, we started this exercise right from 2017 by revising our networking guidelines to facilitate CA firms to come together and grow big. The second step that we took was pass multidisciplinary partnership guidelines and send to MCA for approval, the approval for which has just been received. And with this, we will be able to popularize, propagate, and encourage Indian firms to come together and grow big. I understand that networking or MDP alone are not enough to grow big. So we will build up the ecosystem and culture whereby the Indian firms will be encouraged to come together, work together, and in this time of collaboration, make them realize that alone they can't grow. So these are the steps that we are planning for them. During COVID period, we realized more that the power of technology is immense. We started using technology to spread webinars and the knowledge through webinars. Apart from that, even functions like audit, which we never imagined can be done on virtual mode, our CA firms performed last year and this year and carried out audit on virtual mode. Our Digital Accounting and Assurance Board took various steps to roll out programs on artificial intelligence, blockchain, data analytics, cyber security, and our members are taking full advantage of it. So at the Institute, all capacity measures which were required to be taken, the Institute has already started taking. And let us hope all these put together will show results, and in 2 or 3 years' time, we will have many big Indian firms. On quality of audit, there is always discussion time and again. The Institute last year established Center for Audit Quality. This year, CAQ has come out with AQI, that is Audit Quality Indicators, and Audit Quality Maturity Model. Our members will take full advantage of this. We are also coming out with audit tools, which generally large firms have the privilege to use. And now going forward, once these tools are out, even smaller firms will be able to use these tools and ensure that the quality of audit is up to the mark. Our Financial Reporting Review Board takes all steps to bring to the knowledge of members what common mistakes in financial statements they make and create awareness. We are committed to independence, excellence, and integrity. Right from the time Institute was established, 3 enshrined principles have been followed, and we will keep following. Our focus has also been on global best practices, and particularly during last 2 years, we realized that it is very easy to connect with any part of the world. The acting secretary just now informed, now we have 42 chapters and 26 representative offices. We met them again and again, exchanged ideas, we are exchanging webinars, and these chapters are helping us even on many suggestions which we give to government also. Last year, Niti Aayog and government expected the institute to carry out research and suggest to them ways and means to reboot the economies, reboot the business, and particularly help MSMEs. This year, we have set up a dedicated committee on MSME, and various activities are rolled out. And the first step that we have taken is we are training chartered accountants who would guide MSMEs. During last 2 years, the state governments, central government, RBI have come out with various packages for MSMEs, and this committee will see that all these packages, benefits and knowledge reach out to MSMEs and they take full advantage of it to grow and thrive. Our focus has also been on sustainability. We understand that since last year, Honorable Prime Minister has been talking about triple bottom line, profit, people and planet. Last year, Sustainability Reporting Standard Board was set up, and we are giving priority to climate change and healthcare issues, which are of prime importance today. This board has made its space in SEBI and Niti Aayog, and the chairman is very actively engaged in the activities of sustainability. This year we are also starting one new initiative, financial and tax literacy drive. And today we are launching the project whereby our videos, our website will train people ranging from school students to retired people to housewives to accountants in smaller industries and entrepreneurs. And once they are trained on financial literacy and tax literacy, there will be far better compliance. We have also set up committee for review of education and training, as many changes have taken place in the profession and businesses would expect chartered accountants to be up to date. This committee will ensure that all changes are incorporated in the syllabus and in the training module. This year, when Finance Ministry and CBDT felt that the new tax portal is not settling fast, they approached the institute, and our representatives are helping CBDT and Infosys to remove the glitches and issues in the new tax portal. This year, NFRA has come out with a consultation paper. And sir, we will discuss this in detail with you, but this is only to say that perhaps they have exceeded their authority far more, and institute will engage and see that the two work in a cohesive manner. Lastly, I would put that we received several applications from members for support during COVID period, particularly the medical assistance. We have disbursed 4.72 crores for the benefit of members, and they are benefited from this. So these are some of the initiatives of the institute, which I thought I will share with the chief guest and also large number of members and students. To students, my best wishes for the exams which are commencing from 5th July 2021. Thank you so much. My best wishes once again on the CA Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your address. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite our chief guest, CA Piyush Goyal ji, our Honorable Minister of Railways, Commerce and Industry and Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution. He is also the Deputy Leader of the Rajya Sabha. He has also received the 4th Annual Cabinet Prize in 2018, recognizing the path-breaking transformation in India's energy sector. He has also held several important positions at different levels of the world's largest political party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, and also has been the national treasurer of the party. Sir, you hardly need any introductions. You've made us all proud by your distinguished work in numerous capacities. Sir, so please, it's our honor to have you here, and we would like you to address the audience.
Thank you very much, Madam. My good friend from Mumbai, the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Mr. Nihar Jambusaria, the Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, CA Dr. Debashis Mitra, CA Dr. Jaykumar Batra, Acting Secretary of the ICAI, other distinguished chartered accountants present here today, watching us across the country through this webcast, students of our profession who are aspiring to be chartered accountants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really delighted to be here today at the 73rd Foundation Day ceremony of the Institute. 72 glorious years. Years in the service of the nation, years in the service of business, years of trust, years of achievements, and undoubtedly a profession which has, over the last 72 years, clearly shown to the entire nation, possibly the entire world, how a well-managed, organized profession and professional body regulating that profession can function independently with great degree of transparency and successfully steer the future of the profession to glorious heights. My compliments to all of you. I wish all of you a very, very happy Chartered Accountants Day, and also bring with me the good wishes of the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, who, while expressing his thoughts on the Chartered Accountants Foundation Day, reminded us of some of what he had mentioned 4 years ago. In fact, in some sense, I think when he spoke about us in the Mann Ki Baat, he reaffirmed his faith in our profession and his confidence in our abilities, and also his desire to see this profession truly prosper and become an engine of India's brighter future, an engine which will take India across the whole world and will showcase our talent, showcase our abilities to the rest of the world. In fact, the Prime Minister had also called us the gurus of the finance world. I am quite confident, and as Nihar Bhai was just talking about the changes you have brought about in your regulations, the new guidelines that have been approved by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, your own effort to allow multi-dimensional skill sets within the chartered accountancy firms. I'm sure with all of these initiatives, and possibly some more which I will venture to suggest today, we can truly see our profession, as they say, going across the 7 seas, crossing unsurmountable barriers, or at least seemingly unsurmountable barriers, but achieving success across the world. In fact, today is both the Chartered Accountants Day and the Doctors' Day. We even had to reschedule our timing because the Honorable Prime Minister was addressing the country and all the doctors earlier at 3 o'clock. In fact, in some sense, while the doctors take care of the health of society, I believe all of us chartered accountants, and I hope you still consider me as one of yours, all of us chartered accountants are responsible to take care of the health of the economy. And that's a big responsibility on all of us. Not to be taken lightly, and certainly casting very onerous responsibilities on each and every chartered accountant, in each and every person who gets the stamp of a chartered accountant before his name, who's called a CA. That fraternity that we have has to hold its head high, and that can only be done when 100% of the chartered accountants, even a 99.9% doesn't work. When 100% of the chartered accountants align themselves with this shared vision and with a common mission to earn the respect of every stakeholder, both in India and internationally. During COVID-19, while the doctors, as frontline workers, faced a lot of stress while saving lives, working day and night in the service of humanity, and we all salute our doctors, our frontline professionals, the paramedical staff, and the entire ecosystem which worked through the pandemic without bothering about their own health, without bothering about their own well-being. I believe in our own small way, the chartered accountants also have worked very, very diligently to keep the wheels of the economy going. And we were able to bring back economic momentum. We were able to bring back large parts of the economy to pre-COVID levels and are once again back on the growth trajectory. The second wave certainly has taken its toll on the economy to some extent, but fortunately we were able to tide over the second wave and are today well on the path to recovery. We lost a lot of precious lives. I doubt there would be a single family which has remained unaffected by COVID during the last 15 months. I'd pay my condolences to all those who lost their lives during the COVID pandemic. I pray for their soul. I would wish to convey my prayers to the family members of all those who lost their lives during COVID. But it is our duty to carry forward the good work that they had all done, that they were all doing, and that is the only homage, that is the only way we can respect those who laid down their lives during the COVID pandemic. As chartered accountants focusing on the economy, it's important that we save livelihoods. I remember when the first stories about COVID came out, February and March of 2020, India was totally ill-prepared to face this pandemic. Very often as time passes, you forget the context in which a certain decision was taken. But if you look back at March of 2020, India didn't have enough testing facilities. In fact, the entire country of 130 crore Indians had barely 4 testing laboratories and could test 2,500 cases a day. We didn't make personal protective equipment in India. They were all imported. For the testing, equipment, both machinery and the consumables, were all imported. We didn't know what shape and turn of events COVID will take because there was no precedent. There was no historical evidence. There was no medical protocol. We didn't know what medicines will work, what will not work. There was no preventive vaccine. Masks were not being used at that point of time. Consciousness about COVID had not reached the villages of India. And at that point of time, a very strong lockdown imposed nationally across the country helped India save lives and livelihoods. We paid a price in the short term, but the country was able to get some time to prepare ourselves to face the big battle ahead of us. Not only did we ramp up our testing facilities, we now test at an average 20 lakh, 25 lakh cases every day through the length and breadth of the country. Testing kits are made in India. We are Atmanirbhar in our testing kits. Personal protective equipment are made in India. Again, a shining example of the capabilities of our Indian entrepreneurs who have not only made us self-sufficient in PPEs, but have also helped us create surplus capacities by which we are serving other parts of the world through PPEs made in India. We are one of the world's largest mask manufacturers today. Consciousness about COVID protocols has reached 130 crore Indians due to the relentless efforts of Prime Minister Shri Modi and each and every one of the citizens of India who have worked as a team to take the precautions, to take the message across the country. A serious effort to develop vaccines in India has resulted in quite a bit of success. We have our own indigenously developed vaccine, Covaxin. We also have licensing arrangements with AstraZeneca and Sputnik, which will help us both import and manufacture in India. A fourth vaccine has just got approved last week. More are in the pipeline. The vaccination drive is proceeding very rapidly across the country. Vaccine hesitancy is still seen in several places. We all can also play a role in helping people overcome that vaccine hesitancy. Consciousness about safety, protocols, security, personal hygiene, repeatedly keeping our own hands, face clean, wearing masks. Now the doctors are saying wearing double mask. Maintaining social distancing so that we don't have large programs. Just like we have done today, that we focused totally on the webcast and did not allow any large gathering. Otherwise, with chartered accountants, I know what kind of gatherings you can put together, having experienced it on 1st of July 2017. And I'll never forget that day because I thought some of the chartered accountants will probably start bashing me up at the door of the stadium. When the stadium was full, the wrestling stadium that we took up was full, And we still had thousands of students and chartered accountants waiting outside the doors. Truly an example of the strength of this institute and what we can do once we make up our mind. And I'm reminding you of this only to share with you that whether it comes to taking vaccines to the nook and corner of the country, whether it comes to educating people about the importance of being vaccinated, the importance that everybody gets vaccinated. Because all those who remain unvaccinated are ultimately again a threat to each other, including those who have got vaccinated. The importance that the economy will survive, will grow if we can get vaccines out quickly. The fact that we are increasing the production of vaccines almost every month will help us take the drive to even greater heights. And I'm sure that just like in the second wave, we were able to overcome the COVID spread through micro-containment zones without having to go through national lockdowns, because of which we have been able to save livelihoods, save lives, save large parts of the economy, and have proved to the world that it's not always one size fits all when it comes to strategy. We needed the national lockdown in 2020. We did it at whatever it cost to the economy, because lives were at stake. Having now learned how to cope with the pandemic, we were able to use micro-containment zones and still overcome the second wave, because through the learnings and through the preparedness that was carried out over the last 15 months, India, our doctors, our medical equipment, our hospitals, everybody was much more wiser, much more prepared. Of course, there are some naysayers who will oppose everything that is done. So they opposed the lockdown when it was first initiated, when the country needed it, when we didn't have national protocols, when we didn't have enough capabilities to handle the COVID. And then there were those who demanded a national lockdown the second time around, when really it would not have made any difference, because the COVID spread in different states at different points of time. We have world experience now to go by. Very, very developed countries have had second wave, third wave, fourth wave. We are all working collectively to see that we can protect our people from the detrimental effects of the future. But clearly, this calls for a national teamwork. This calls for working in partnership with each other. And I'm delighted that the Institute has taken it upon itself to continue to serve the economy, continue to carry out our professional duties, continue to carry out imparting education to our students. I'm happy to hear about your CSR activities, where you have spent 4.72 crore rupees. Should there be need of more, please be more liberal. This is the time for each and every one of us to have a heart of gold. And I have no doubt in my mind that the Institute will also consider maybe rolling out vaccination programs for our students, for chartered accountants, maybe tying up with some hospitals in remote parts of India, so that we can also possibly adopt a few districts or a few hundred or a few thousand villages maybe take some mobile facilities to remote areas. Maybe as an institute take up the Northeast or Jammu Kashmir and see what we can do in those areas. I don't know. I'm just throwing thoughts for you to deliberate upon. But we clearly have a mission ahead of us. COVID fight is not over, and I'm sure the institute will continue to look at what more we can do in this during this period. I think Madam mentioned, or probably the Deputy Secretary mentioned about integrity when we spoke about the institute and about chartered accountants. What does ICAI stand for me? To me, the ICAI and the fact that I have a CA written before me should reflect integrity, should reflect commitment, should reflect accountability, and if I may venture to suggest, should also reflect intellect, intelligence. And as a CA, we have lots of challenges ahead of us. The very fact that we are called a CA is that there are challenges ahead, but we are competent to handle those challenges ahead of us. That we are committed to handle them with the highest level of transparency, integrity, commitment, and intelligence. You were just now mentioning we are one amongst the top 2 or 3 top accounting bodies in the world. Clearly, the world has seen in our institute high standards of ethics, technical know-how, and very stringent examination standards. I remember at least when I did my CA, I don't know how the numbers stack up now, but barely 1% of the students used to pass. And most students wouldn't do both the sets of groups together. I remember at one point even I was contemplating not doing both the groups together. I just realized that the other day when somebody was mentioning to me that he didn't do the finals, both the groups, it was too difficult, too much to handle, and therefore lost his rank. And then I was looking back at my time. But clearly, it's great to see a profession which is recognized, respected. There's a yearning for people to be chartered accountants. Today you also mentioned about the Chartered Accountancy Institute, our ICAI, becoming a member of the ASEAN Federation of Accountants. ASEAN is a large bloc with which India is looking to expand our trading relationship in a big way. But clearly, all of these things will only work when we as a profession decide that we are now going to engage with the world from a position of strength, that we are going to engage with the world, take the footprints of our profession across the world, and Indian accounting firms are going to become international names to reckon with, so that when we go to any part of the world, just like you have large billboards or large neon signs announcing the office of some of these large accounting firms, we will read about some Indian firms, completely Indian names, on large billboards, on large neon signs of a 50, 100-story building. showcasing an Indian chartered accountants firm providing services to the world. In fact, our IT sector, and soon after I leave from here, I'm going to be reviewing the services sector as a whole. There's some chartered accountants also in that. But when I look at the services sector and I engage with, let's say, the IT sector, we are almost looking at a $500 billion export of our IT services in the next 4 or 5 years. We don't stack up anywhere near that. Opening of our chapters should not only be because we have chartered accountants who studied in India and are serving in other parts of the world. I would urge the profession and the leaders of the profession before me today to see how we are going to encourage more and more of our chartered accountants, brothers and sisters, to look at scale, to look at larger firms, to look at the possibilities of mergers, acquisitions, partnerships, as you said, larger networks, working together to truly become world-class and of a size that the world recognizes. I think we need to have a little bit more hunger towards that ambition. Sometimes I feel that we've got into a cozy comfort zone. I have 20 chartered accountants in my firm. I have 2,000 clients. I have 70 or maybe 170 limited companies or private limited companies that all of us put together are auditing. अब हमारी सोच बदलने का समय आ गया. What we need is a complete mindset change, a reset of our ambitions as a profession. And we need to have some targets, because then only we can really work towards a goal. The Prime Minister, I remember in 17 had talked about what? At least 10 global firms coming out of the stables of Indian chartered accountants. Of course, the big four often feel that I'm all the time bashing them, which I'm not really trying to do. But ultimately, and most of them, they're all Indian chartered accountant brothers and sisters working there also. But हमारा brand क्यों नहीं दुनिया में recognize हो सकता है? I would like to see the day when some of our firms are working out of the United States, out of all the European capitals, working out of the UAE and all the Gulf countries, working out of Japan, Korea, and hiring chartered accountants or accounting professionals from those countries to work in our firms. That's what we have to all aspire for. And that will need some letting go also. Partnerships are not easy. Collective working is not always easy. But that will have to be the rules of the game if we need to bring scale to our work, scale to our profession. If we want to become ambassadors of India worldwide, if we want to start seeing what kind of exports, Indian chartered accountants, export of services we can do, then we'll need to invest in libraries, we'll need to invest in research, we'll need to invest in technology, we'll need to invest in knowledge, in better practices, high standards that the accounting profession has the capability of doing. I would like to accept all of you, request all of you to seriously consider whether the institute itself can also play some kind of a facilitator role in helping us achieve scale. Can we help by some guidance note of how firms will be valued, for example? So that itself will become a big problem if we are looking at merging and expanding the footprints of each firm. Can we look at some experts working as a team to see how firms will be valued, how future cash flows of existing firms should be taken into consideration, how synergies and scale will help the combination of two or more firms to become larger than the individual firms. In fact, every mathematical formula also says that. I would think that for us to be a partner in the nation's progress, we will all have to start seeing how we can be much more engaged in the startup ecosystem, for example. Can we train our young, new chartered accountants to do valuations of startups in the new age world? Working from home, WFH opens up large opportunities for us to export our capabilities. And in the last 15 months, we have all experienced how work from home can improve our efficiency manifold, significantly. You have also shared with me about some of your new initiatives, the MSME initiative, for example, the MSME exchange, you call it. You have talked about a help desk. You've talked about the Sahayata Kendras. You've talked about your financial and tax literacy drive. I believe today you have launched a new program on financial and tax literacy, Vittiya Gyan, or you're going to launch it. All right. Similarly, let us also see what we can do to prepare ourselves for the future. Can we look at, I heard or I read in this that you're looking at going more vernacular, looking at more regional languages. Great. Can our institute also start a program to train people in French and Spanish maybe? You have? Oh, wonderful. So you're one ahead of the curve already. And if we are all willing to accept this ambition, if we are all willing to act towards a new alignment of our profession, my sense is then instead of challenges ahead, we can say challenges accepted when we say CA. And let us resolve that when we turn 75, 3 years from now, can we all look at having our first set of global world-class chartered accountancy firms serving clients worldwide, tax, management, project consultancy, consulting with governments across the world, working with mergers, acquisitions, HR, capacity building. Sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen, about what we can all do. A word of caution though. When we talk about looking and aspiring to be big, thinking big, we'll also have to evolve our ground rules which are comparable and compatible to that scale. Traditionally, and I hope you will take what I'm going to say in the right spirit. Somehow, traditionally, all of us chartered accountants have been trained to think in a very small, myopic world. How can we help our client in some tax planning? If there's a particular law or a regulation, what can we do remaining within the letter of the law? Yet, well, there's a little grey area in between. Somehow, over the years, this is what has also come to define our profession. I think the world has moved on. Regulations globally look at substance over form. Today the time has come where this cat and mouse game will not work. A regulator comes out with a law or a regulation or a guideline. Professionals, and not necessarily only chartered accountants, but professionals are trying to work around that regulation. Over a period of time, the regulator catches on, comes up with some clarification or a new guideline. Now you have a problem, you start complaining there's no predictability. Regulator has no choice because you tried to break the original regulation spirit. Now you are looking at another way to break the new guideline. And this cat and mouse game keeps going on and on. Of course, there's one sector which is my favorite sector, where I've often talked about this, but I'll refrain from getting diverted into that sector, where this cat and mouse game is costing the nation dear and actually affecting our economy. But I think this finding of loopholes and finding of devices to beat the spirit of the law is a relic of the past. It's a bygone story. Today, clients want peace. They want certainty. They don't want long-drawn, costly litigation and confusion. And I think if we chartered accountants take it upon ourselves that we'll ensure a very orderly behavior of our profession, we will ensure that we give the right advice within the letter and spirit of the law. We will not encourage people to try and beat the system. If at all we find something is wrong, we engage with the authorities. Just like you're doing with the finance ministry now to find a solution to the problem that you articulated. I think similarly, if there's a problem, let's talk about it in a rational fashion. Let's find solutions. Rather than misguiding clients, after all, nobody can deny that when we put our signature on any document, be it an annual report, be it a certificate, or anything that we are affixing our signature as a chartered accountant, there's a huge burden of faith that that signature carries. There is a huge trust that the recipient of that certificate, the reader of that document, places on our chartered accountant's signature. Let us hold that signature's esteem. Let us build that trust in that signature, that a document signed by a chartered accountant, an annual report signed by us, can be trusted upon to truly reflect the true and fair view of the state of affairs of whatever we are certifying. Because ultimately, a lot of the problems that the nation faces could have easily been detected very early on if somebody amongst us had been more diligent in the work that we carried out in our quality and standard that we maintained in our work. I am not at all trying to suggest that the profession as a whole does this, but as I started off, if we have to earn the goodwill, respect and trust of the world, we will need to have 100% credibility ingrained in each and every one of us, so that that trust is never let down, so that each one of us working to support each other and yet keeping a watchful eye on each other also, works as a team to make this profession achieve the high glory that our founding fathers, maybe 72 years ago, must have set for themselves and for this institute. I have no doubt in my mind that collectively we can achieve this. As the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi had said, and I quote, "Your signature is more powerful than that of a Prime Minister. It is your moral responsibility to guide one towards righteous conduct and practice." I think all of us need to reflect on the huge responsibility that is cast upon us. I would urge each and every one of the 77,000 chartered accountants, students who are logged on at this point of time on this webcast, and if 77,000 are watching live, I don't know how many more would be there on each of those points of dissemination. And I do hope this message goes out loud and clear to each and every chartered accountant in this country, to each and every student aspiring to be a chartered accountant. It is our joint and collective responsibility, or in legal parlance, joint and several responsibility, to maintain the flag of the institute high. I am sure we will do it, we can do it, and we certainly are committed to doing it. All the very best to each one of you and your families. Stay safe, stay healthy. Please ensure that you, your families, and everybody in your ecosystem maintains COVID protocol. Let's not get out of the masks when in public places. Let's maintain social distancing, personal hygiene, and get everybody we know, encourage every person in our friend circle, in our neighborhood, in our company, to get vaccinated and remain safe. Good luck to you and your families. Congratulations once again on this auspicious day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your address has definitely paved the way for a better understanding of our roles and responsibilities as a chartered accountants. I would now request our President, CA Nihar and Jambusaria ji, to present a shawl and a memento to our Chief Guest, CA Piyush Goyal ji, as a token of appreciation. A great round of applause, please. The ICAI today, on the occasion of Chartered Accountants Day, would also be making launches and would be releasing certain publications. These committees behind the publications have made immense contribution to our institution, and what better day than today to reveal it to all. I am pleased to announce the launch of Financial and Tax Literacy Drive and multilingual website, the mobile app ICAI BOS for CA students, the Oddity Quality Maturity Model version 1.0, and all of this would be showed to you via a video.
We all live in a complex world of money and finances, struggling to manage our income and expenses. To fill this knowledge gap, ICAI presents Vittya Gyan Abhiyan, a financial and tax literacy portal. Learn from articles, videos, games, and activities that provide you concise information and financial stories in an entertaining way. Use financial calculators to make right decisions and ask experts to seek answers to your queries. For a wide group of audience, from farmers to entrepreneurs. Available in English, Hindi, and 7 other Indian languages. Log in to www.vithyagyan.icai.org, a path-breaking initiative by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
On 1st of July 2021, as we celebrate CA Day, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India launches the ICAI BOS mobile app exclusively for the CA students. The mobile app has been developed by the Board of Studies Academics. The objective is to connect with the students pursuing the Chartered Accountancy course and provide them interactive learning, coaching, and quality services. After successful login, the student will land at the homepage showcasing exciting features that includes announcement, live coaching classes, recorded lectures, educational content, mock test paper series, students' journal, e-books, practical training assessment, and much more. The bell icon will help students connect with the latest updates through push notifications. Students can download the Android version of the ICAI BOS mobile app from the Google Play Store. Thank you.
Today, stakeholders have grown beyond shareholders. Audit quality is the hallmark of the audit profession. The newly minted Center for Audit Quality of ICAI engages with various stakeholders to have an angular discussion on audit quality. The Center for Audit Quality has brought out a recommendatory audit quality maturity model version 1.0, which is capacity building measure initiated to help audit firms to self-evaluate their current level of audit maturity, identify areas where competencies are good or lacking, and then develop a roadmap for upgrading to a higher level of maturity. Firms auditing the following entities are covered in AQMM version 1.0. A-listed entity or banks other than cooperative banks except multi-state cooperative banks or insurance companies. However, firms doing only branch audits are not covered. With the new avenue emerging in insolvency resolution sphere for the professionals and to support the strong ecosystem in the country as built by the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, the Committee on Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of ICAI is launching certificate course on the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 for the members. Get introduced to IBC, rules and regulations thereunder, and judicial pronouncements under the code, along with the practical implementation of the provisions of the code with the help of case studies. A A certificate will be awarded after completion of the course and 30 CPE hours will be granted.
Now I would like to invite the Vice President of ICAI, CA Dr. Debashis Mitra ji, to give a vote of thanks to our audience.
Honorable Union Minister, CA Piyush Goyal, the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Nihar Jambusaria, the past President Praful Chhajer, my council colleagues, and all those of us who are hearing us address, a very, very good evening to all of you. Piyush sir, you are one of us, and consequently, when I offer the vote of thanks, I shall not go for any prepared text. I will speak from the heart. Sir, first of all, a few words about you, how you rule our hearts. Sir, I come from the eastern part of the country. And two incidents. One, you were present and you might not remember, but you see, which, many of us we talk about even today, sir. About 2 years back, sir, you were in Calcutta addressing Bengal Corporate Awards, and it was Taj Bengal in Calcutta, sir. So today I am lucky enough to have been made the Vice President of the Institute and sitting next to you. At that time, sir, I was sitting far away from you, and 5 of us were sitting together, chartered accountants. Sir, before you spoke, and the Union Minister spoke. And that Union Minister really spoke very well, sir. And many of the industrialists, and we could hear that, they told you when you were going to speak, they told you that, Mr. Goyal, your work is cut out. The way the other minister has spoken, if you have to match him, you really have to go beyond yourself. Sir, we were hearing because we were in maybe the 15th row. And all of us being chartered accountants, sir, our heart was beating very fast because you carried with you, when you were up in the stage, our hopes and aspirations. And we prayed to God that you should speak so well that you beat that minister out, sir. Sir, and all of us were sitting, and sir, when you went and spoke, and needless to mention, sir, you spoke with such flowing language. And when there was a thunderous applause after you have spoken, sir, 5 of us who were sitting there, we were standing and continuing clapping, sir, because you lived up to our hopes and aspirations. So that was 2 years back. So today we had a council meeting. And when I was sitting in the council, there was this lady who was phoning me up. I found 3 missed calls. And sir, see, it's very difficult to get out of the council. And this lady, sir, I knew her. She's about 83 years old. She's a Bengali lady, sir. And Bengalis can be, sir, quite emotional at times. And I'm a Bengali myself, sir. I found that 83-year-old, she's talking, she's phoning me up. So I went out and I phoned her up. And she told me, I'm extremely, extremely angry with you. You have carried a wrong message in the newspaper advertisement that you carried about the CA Day. So today, in almost all the newspapers in India, we have carried this message about the Chartered Accountants Day. And I and the president, we had looked at the messages, and I was very surprised as to why she was criticizing me so vehemently. So I said that, madam, in Bengali I was telling her that what went wrong? You said Piyush Goyal went wrong. I said that Piyush Goyal went wrong? She's saying, why did you use the word Shri in front of the name of Piyush Goyal? Why you did not use the word CA in front of his name? Sir, this is the kind of sentiments and emotions that you raise, you see, amongst the membership and amongst your fraternity, sir. Sir, and when you speak well about us today, and I think, sir, I have heard you, followed you. I think today has been one of the best addresses I have heard. You spoke very well of the profession. And, sir, you see, yes, sir. And when you speak about, sir, you see, years, the service of nation, trust, achievement, independence, gurus of the financial world, sir, we are really, really, you see, feeling very encouraged. Because, sir, so many of us look up to you. And when the Honorable Prime Minister, in the course of his Mann Ki Baat on the 27th, greets us for the Chartered Accountants Day, we are further encouraged to serve the cause of the nation, sir. Sir, the institute from which you had passed has grown subsequently, phenomenally since the time, sir, you had passed. Today, sir, your institute, as I was said, has 42 overseas chapters, 26 representative offices. And when you said, sir, that these chapters must be active, we try to push them, sir. And in all the programs that these chapters have, and I and the President are very surprised, invariably the ambassador of that country is present in the program, Indian ambassador to that country. So that is this thing, sir. Sir, you said that, you see, we must move away from the beaten track. Very much, sir. Today, sir, your colleague, Mr. Meghwal, was here. So he inaugurated a program where we are planting 10 lakh trees. Sir, we are really moving away. Sir, after you, the two speakers that we have, one is Mr. Harish Salve, sir. He's a chartered accountant, but he's more known as for his legal abilities. The other gentleman, sir, who will be interested is, you spoke about Covaxin. Dr. Krishna Ella is the other gentleman who is speaking, sir. He is the CMD of Bharat Biotech. So the point I'm trying to make is this, sir, that we are mentally really trying to move away, sir. And move away from the usual and trying to evolve, innovate, and grow. That's what we are trying to do, sir. So you see, and the technology is something, sir, that we are really, really pushing hard. Artificial intelligence, blockchain, we are really pushing hard. And we totally agree with you when you talk about that credibility is so important for the profession. We totally agree with you, sir. Sir, people like us, me, President, and all my council colleagues, sir, we go on talking about independence, integrity, excellence. But today, sir, when you said ICAI, I hardly made any notes. But when you said ICAI is integrity, I said, very nice. And then you said, sir, commitment. Yeah, you said intellect. You said, you see, so many things that you talked about, sir, about ICAI. And sir, you see, it really, really has encouraged us. And sir, you see, it has been a great experience for all of us, hearing you and speak. And sir, let me tell you, sir, you see, APJ Abdul Kalam had told us that, you see, we are partners in nation building. And every effort will be made by the Institute to live up to that expectation, sir. So on behalf of all of us, we wish you a very happy Chartered Accountants Day. And we look forward to your guidance, sir, in all times to come, sir. Thank you very much for your kind presence amidst us. And may I request everybody once more to kindly stand up and giving a standing ovation. Thank you. Thank you.
I would like everybody to rise for the national anthem, please.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उत्कल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे गावे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
आइए ना, आइए, कुछ इशू.
Resuming with our 3 days virtual program, we will now be joined with our eminent speakers, and we have with us our Central Council member, CA CS Nandaji with us, who would be giving introductory remarks on our upcoming session, which is post-COVID scenario, the roadmap for growth recovery. I invite Nandaji to please address our audience.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I now wish to present the introductory remarks for post-COVID scenario roadmap for growth recovery. I start my session by giving you best wishes for the 73rd Chartered Accountants Day. Friends, Chartered Accountancy is an invaluable and indispensable supportive profession for modern business. Development of this profession is indeed the yardstick for evaluating the development of a nation, its business, and the entire economy. The Institute and its members always stand with the nation and provide services, keeping national interests at their top priority. We, Chartered Accountants, are the pillars of the Indian economy, and it is our avowed duty to support the government in rebuilding the Indian economy in the post-pandemic era and to make India self-reliant. The profession has moved much beyond performing merely accountancy services and has been contributing by giving inputs to the government and various regulators, not only in areas related to accounting, finance and taxation, but also towards reviving the economy post-COVID-19 pandemic. ICAI, through its 42 overseas chapters and 26 representative offices abroad, is working towards bringing more foreign investment in India, enhancing bilateral trade and benchmarking international best practices, thereby contributing to the vision of self-reliant India. ICAI is the proud host of World Congress of Accountants 2022, popularly known as the Olympics of Accountancy profession, having conglomeration of about 7,000 delegates from more than 130 countries, and it would be a unique opportunity to showcase and enhance the brand value of India as well as ICAI at the Congress in 2022. I would like to tell you that we are privileged that today we have with us none other than Shri, Harish and Salve ji, one of the most renowned senior advocate who has also served as a Solicitor General of India and has handled many high-profile cases. He will deliver his keynote address on the topic post-COVID scenario roadmap for growth recovery and will share his view that how we professionals can further contribute following reviving the Indian economy post-COVID-19 pandemic. The role of chartered accountants can never be undermined. And I'm reminded of a couplet which I'd like to share with you. Chartered accountants do selfless service. And I'm reminded of a couplet. The couplet says, तारीफ की चाहत तो नाकाम लोगों की फितरत है, तारीफ की चाहत तो नाकाम लोगों की फितरत है, काबिल लोगों के तो दुश्मन भी कायल होते हैं. So we work in tandem to ensure that we give our best. Over to Shri Harish and Salve ji for his address. Thank you, Mr. Salve. You're most welcome.
President of the Institute, Vice President of the Institute, office bearers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm grateful to the President that he invited me to share some ideas, some thoughts, and in today's context, I would say some feelings with members of my fraternity, Chartered Accountants, on the path for recovery from COVID. I remember I was in 2020 invited to address the Institute. And at that time it looked as though we were in the thick of the pandemic and it would fade. And by the fall, as they say, of 2020, things would be better. If we look back on the 1st of July, we realize how different the world is from what we thought it would be. Post-World War II, it's been a very happy period of 70 years, especially for the stable countries. In which the world has not seen any grave crises. Although we have had border skirmishes, in the last 50 years, there has been no crisis of the scale and magnitude which we have been living through for the last 2 years. On 1st of July, therefore, 1st of July of 2021, let's look back on where are we in terms of battling the disease, where are we in terms of taking stock of the economy, and a very important consideration which now must feature in all our deliberations. Where are we in handling the social stresses, the strain being generated on the system by the disease and by the economic consequences of the disease? Unless we come to a better understanding of the past, we will not be able to address the future. We have seen that in India. We thought we were past the pandemic, and it's all very well in hindsight to criticize the government for having declared victory over the pandemic a bit too early. But let's put our hand on our hearts. Didn't each of us do that? The disease has not been created by the government, and the government cannot fight the disease. Ultimately, it's for each citizen to do what he has to do to fight this disease. All of us became complacent, all of us became confident that we are past the disease. And what did we do? We dropped our guard, landed in a mess. What are we doing now? Blaming the government. So, unless we come to a more sober, a more balanced understanding of where we are, we cannot and should not plan for the future. Where are we in terms of the disease? The answer is, we don't know. Maybe 6 months back, we thought we knew where we were. Things would be better. The honest answer which one can give on the 1st of July 2021, 18 months into this crisis, is nobody knows. So we have to plan ahead, keeping in mind that our healthcare in particular, our social behavior in particular, and our measures to deal with the economic and social fallouts in general are geared so as to be able to tackle this in the long haul. Any planning on a premise that we are seeing the tail of this and then there will be just one more wave and maybe there is a third wave, maybe there is no third wave. The vaccinations hold a great degree of promise. How far will they carry us? We don't know. So one thing this disease has taught us is that all planning has to be on a premise that we are in for a long haul battle and we must prepare, deal with this over the next 3 months, over the next 3 quarters, over the next 3 years, and maybe over the next 10 years. If that is the prognosis of the state of the disease, we have to then take stock of the economy, the beating it has taken, the ups, there have been a few, the downs that have been substantial, and how do we address the crises on the different fronts that we have seen from time to time, so that we are in a position to address all that this throws at us in the time to come. But the most important today is that we have to prepare ourselves and we have to prepare our fellow countrymen to deal with social stress. The social stress caused by economic factors, the social stress caused by medical factors, the social stress caused by the general sense of gloom that this disease tends to bring, that any such pandemic tends to bring. And to deal with that, not for the next 3 months, but as I said, for the next 3 months, for the next 3 quarters, for the next 3 years, and maybe longer. Where are we in terms of the disease? We have the new variants and we have the vaccination. As of today, there is some hope that the vaccination will be able to neutralize the variants. We hope that it will be so. The scientists also beyond the point are not able to commit, and rightly so. What do? We have no control over the variants. Our scientists are doing their best, burning the midnight oil to try and come up with better and safer vaccines to tackle the disease. But let us look at what we have done to create the environment which has created this disease and helped it reach such huge proportions. It is true that the disease has ravaged every country, rich and poor. The disease has ravaged the cleanest countries, the disease has ravaged the countries which suffer from urban decay. But urban decay always will create a friendly host ecosystem for any virus. It will be much easier to eradicate it from a clean, sterile country than it will be from a country which suffers from urban decay. It's time we asked certain difficult questions, and it's time we faced certain difficult questions. Politics of populism has brought us to a level of urban decay. Town planning has not kept pace with the growth of population. Our town planning rules are archaic. Town planning system is plagued by monumental corruption. Debate on what's gone wrong with our town planning is a debate for another day because it is a full-scale debate. The point which I make today is, let us start that debate. Why is it that nowhere else in the world is town planning such a battle between the citizen and the state? Why is it that a country which otherwise is on the cusp of becoming a developed country like India, is so poor when it comes to town planning? What's wrong? Are we bad citizens, or do we have bad governance? Or is it a bit of both? While a full-scale debate on town planning is not what I propose to even spark today, what I suggest is, or what I argue is, the time has come to address urban decay. We can no longer look the other way. If there are jobs not available in parts of India which causes an excessive population pressure on other parts of India, we need to address the problem. Yesterday I was reading in our neighboring country, in Dhaka, the minister said that the city will collapse if the rate of migration to the city continues. How true is that for our urban cities? Let us wake up from this politically induced slumber, of this sense of nonchalance where it comes to the urban decay, to the unhealthy, unpalatable surroundings in which we have created in our cities, and start a debate on how do we fix that. The economy. Where are we in terms of the economy? Where is the world in terms of the economy? There is some recovery. It is true. In the world, there is some recovery. It's a testimony to the resilience of our systems that despite complete shutdowns in a very large part of the world, we have managed to survive. And we need to address what are the steps which we need to take. Continue not just to survive, but to build back. We need to talk about the social stresses, fatigue, which is setting in. 18 months we have suffered this. Children have not gone to school. Children are studying online. People are not able to step out of their homes. living in the confines of limited space, the mental and emotional fatigue has a huge impact on the mind of people. It impacts your productivity, it impacts your output, it creates complacency, and it creates anger. Angry with the system, you're angry with the government, you're angry with everything. Because we, as humans, don't do soul searching to see what have I done to bring about this. We always like to find fault outside us. These are the issues we need to look at. Looking back at the last 18 months, the one thing which strikes is the studies in contrast. The world is at once a picture of destruction, a picture of desperation, and on the other hand, a picture of resilience. Desperation and resilience are living side by side. They are natural enemies. We have to create situations in which resilience triumphs over desperation. So let us look at which are the areas we need to work on and we need to focus on. The first and foremost area we need to focus on is unemployment. The biggest impact which COVID has created is upon employment. I was reading the figures the other day. In America, they've had an 8.9% contraction in employment. The unemployment figures are up by 8.9%. The Indian figures, and we can hardly afford any unemployment. The Indian figures are, even today, over 7% of unemployment. It peaked at 23% sometime in February 2020, dropped below 7, again over 9% by end of 2020. In a country which has no social security, which doesn't have safety nets, the effect of unemployment is like a trapeze artist losing balance 50 feet above the ground without there being a net. We need to fix, and we need to fix urgently, the problems created by unemployment. The government, I've got the figures from the government websites, has distributed about 330 billion rupees to about 330 million beneficiaries. We have to continue support of the unemployed. This is not the time to worry about deficit financing. And I'm afraid this is one challenge to which the government has to rise. The government is rising wonderfully well when we come to see what measures the government are taking, but there is a lot more to be done. But each one of us has to see what we can do to address the problems of unemployment. I don't need to add rhetoric to a gathering of accountants to say unemployment has an economic impact, but more than that, unemployment has a social impact. Large-scale unemployment over a large period of time erodes social fabric. If we want to function as a democracy, we cannot risk unemployment become endemic. What do we do to fix unemployment at a time when the gross domestic product all over the world is shrinking? There was an interesting study done by BBC, and they said 6 of the hardest hit countries by the pandemic are US, Korea, Italy, Japan, China, and Germany. The significance of these 6 is that these 6 total, when total, account for 55% of the world's gross domestic product, 60% of the world's manufacturing, and 50% of the world's exports. Even Indian GDP contracted substantially in 2019. We were hoping that 2020, 2021, as we go along, it would expand. Comes the second wave. I was reading a report by Nomura which suggests that unlike the growth projected, GDP is again likely to contract the coming quarters by 1.5%. So in a situation like this, unemployment becomes the first target area. What is the recovery going to look like? There are theories whether the recovery is going to be V-shaped or U-shaped. The debate between V-shaped or U-shaped really is a debate about how the manufacturing economies are going to pick up. The greatest employment is generated by the service industry. And the service industry recovery is what one economist has said, L-shaped. It has dropped. It's going to climb after remaining flat for a very long period of time. See the state of the hospitality industry all over the world. See the state of the airline industry all over the world. See the state of the tourism industry all over the world. Completely collapsed. Completely collapsed. Huge unemployment created by that. Look at a country like India. Construction work slowed down. Complete collapse in employment. We now need to start measuring growth, especially after what we have lived through in 18 months. We need to recalibrate systems on how we measure our success. We have to evolve a misery index. And the misery index must take into account the impact of these seismic events on the daily wages, migrant workers, the impact, how it is spread between the manufacturing sector and the services sector. And in India, most important, the misery index of the impact, the difference between the organized and the unorganized sector. The organized sector in India has done wonderfully well. It has risen to the occasion when we were short of oxygen. Industry after industry diverted oxygen from their manufacturing and made it available to the citizens, allowing people to breathe. It did so because it could do so. But what about the unorganized sector or the semi-organized sector, small sector? We need to concentrate on them and hope to build them back. The government is doing its bit. Believe me, speaking for myself, I feel the government is doing it. Just yesterday, we had a speech by the finance minister, another 1,000 crores, of which 1.1 lakh crore loan guarantee schemes granted to COVID-affected sectors. 1.5 lakh crore for emergency credit line guarantee and credit guarantee scheme to facilitate loans to 25 lakh people through microfinance institutions. This is targeted relief. This targeted relief will address the misery index. Areas where more needs to be done is a thorough study of what the hospitality industry has suffered, of what the tourism industry has suffered, and how and what can we do to rebuild them, because we must reconcile to the idea that in the near term, tourism is not likely to come anywhere near what it used to be. Not that India is hugely dependent on tourism, but those who survive on tourism, partly you have to create alternative employments, and partly we have to give short-term and medium-term financial support so that they are able to survive during this period of crises. We also have to reconcile, and these are certain hard decisions, on whom we need to support. There was a very interesting paper the other day which I was seeing, which said we cry, and we see this cry in India very loud, that the banks must come out and support all bankrupt companies. Only means that bankruptcy will be passed on to the banks, which is the beginning of the end of a economic structure. We do have to reconcile that certain industries and certain kinds of industries have become obsolete. There are certain changes which are permanent, which have come about as a result of this pandemic. For example, I don't think we are ever now going to be working in the way we used to. The virtual world has developed to enable us to communicate the way we do. And we have all realized the advantages of communicating. There are a lot of upsides to the way we communicate in the virtual world. That's just one example. Online retail. Online retail has perhaps seen figures like never before. I believe it's now a $2.5 to $3 trillion industry. Is online retail going to go away? Not really. Of course, some degree of business will come back. But look at a city like London, one of the biggest marketplaces of the world. Look at a city like London. High street stores are falling like 9 pins, because ultimately people are finding it more convenient to shop online, and the way online platforms today are able to work becomes more and more attractive to shop online. So what happens? Do we keep supporting those businesses which have become unworkable? No. We find other ways of employing those people, of diverting those resources. Pharma, healthcare are two sectors which are going to see unprecedented growth. We have now realized the importance of these industries. How do we divert resources from the uneconomic to the economic? And how do we divert employment from the uneconomic to the economic is going to be one major challenge which we have to address. What are the lessons that we have learned? The lessons that we have learned are that the relationship between the citizen and the government should be symbiotic, not parasitic. What do I mean by this? Look at the way, again, I go back to oxygen supply. Look at the way the industry rose to the challenge, protect the citizens. See the amount of work corporate India has done to help people. See how much individual citizens have done to help their neighbors. What I call the Nightingale hospitals. being set up in Gurdwaras. Just one example. So many communities have come together to create healthcare. So many communities came together to distribute food. This is the symbiotic relationship between citizens and the government. The government does what it does, we do what we do. There are still voices which want you to be dependent. There are still political voices which would rather give you fish than teach you how to fish. There are still voices which invite you to be parasitic, to blame the government for everything. I think the time has come for us to mature and for our politics to mature from this. Stop this negative narrative and build into a positive narrative. Second thing which we have learned is the need for transparency. If we do not know what's going to happen, people should be told we do not know what's going to happen with this disease. One of the biggest problems today is the uncertainty with which we are all living. Uncertainty creates huge mental and emotional stress. It destroys productivity. We have to live with transparency, sharing information, and it actually flows from one. If we have to have a symbiotic relationship, we all must know what's going on. Health is wealth. The phrase has a new meaning. The devastation of economies caused by a pandemic really underscores the meaning of the phrase, health is wealth. If we cannot have a healthy citizenry, there is no question of ever being a successful government. The pandemic has taught us this. Our everything is so fragile. Hit by a pandemic, it reminds you of your vulnerability as a human. Remember, health is wealth. So our primary priority would be generating health, healthcare, health insurance, investment in health infrastructure. This is one major source of creating wealth. Up till now, we considered health merely to be a social function of government. We focused on economic growth. Have to always remember, health is wealth. We have to remember, we have to be Atmanirbhar. But Atmanirbhar doesn't mean isolationist. I heard a speech today morning in a seminar going on where the head of, the WHO head was saying, the only way to get rid of the pandemic is where all countries are able to vaccinate. The disease has shown us that we are united as a human race in misery. If you are united in misery, you also have to be united in the effort to fight that which is creating the misery. The world has suffered economic devastation. So yes, we have to be self-sufficient in the sense we should not be dependent on others for our basic needs. But that's a far cry from saying India should be isolationist. Our concerns should end on the west, at the borders of Rajasthan and Gujarat, and on the east, on the borders of Bengal and Orissa. No, there is a world around us, and we have to live as part of the world. We have to remind ourselves that India is respected because of its resilience, not because of its rhetoric. Criticism is constructive, and it is good people criticize. But it is disturbing to see a constant, malignant, negative narrative. We have no time for that. We have no space for that. We are all suffering from a huge stress, social, economic, health. This is the time where we need to build confidence, not erode confidence. And we have to reset governance for the 21st century. I spoke about this last time, and I repeat it today. The mantras of transparency and fairness, and most of all, of friendliness. A symbiotic relationship must harbor friendliness. Friendliness between the citizens, friendliness between the government and the citizen. We have to reconcile to one hard reality. Life may now well be cycles from pandemic to endemic to pandemic. We don't know when the next endemic or pandemic will strike us. So let us use the intervals of good health as and when they come. And I say even a reduced pandemic is an interval of relative good health. Let's use these intervals well. Let us prepare so that we do not need to panic. And let us find the fault line and address them. And the biggest fault line in this gathering, I would like to say, is let us learn to acknowledge that it's the gross happiness index by which we must measure our growth. But the gross domestic product is the umbilical cord which connects the people to the gross happiness index. You cannot have any of the other indicia of happiness. You do not have economic growth. Learn to respect those who create wealth. Learn negotiation. We have to learn negotiation rather than litigation. We have to build trust. We have to build credibility. Credibility in our profession. I heard the Vice President's speech to the Honorable Minister. He spoke of credibility of the profession. It's extremely important. Each of us have to build credibility. Let's look back and see the mess we have created. The citizens don't trust the professions don't trust the government, the civil service is at war with the citizens, it seems at times. We have to build trust. We have to create a good working environment. And finally, taxation has to take the shape of sharing the profits of a partnership, not excoriation. I would only close by reminding ourselves of words which were spoken a very long time ago in the Gettysburg Address. And let us see parts of it, how true they ring today. Abraham Lincoln in his speech had said this, and see how relevant it is today. He said, "It is for us the living rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work, which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. We have lost so many of us to this disease. It is rather for us here to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." Thank you.
These valuable insights gave us a new perspective to deal with the post-COVID scenario. I thank you for giving us and gracing us with your presence. A great round of applause, please. Moving on to our next session, I would now be inviting our Central Council member, CA Tarunjay Ghiaji, to give the introductory remarks.
Thank you, Nidhi. Good evening, everyone. Our speaker, Chairman, Managing Director of Bharat Biotech International Limited, who has given all of us proud by indigenous made COVID-19, the vaccine Covaxin. My esteemed colleague in the Central Council, Shri Jayaji, esteemed participants. At the outset, a very happy 73rd Chartered Accountants Day, also the Happy Doctors Day. We are also much delighted to read one of the latest news that Covaxin can neutralize both the alpha as well as delta variants of the virus. I am sure Dr. Krishna will throw more light on this. Friends, pandemic has taught all of us the very hard way the importance of health and the need for development of health infrastructure in the country. And despite unique challenges that the vastly populated country like we have, India has certainly dealt with the corona very credibly. The country has been spending on health infrastructure and more particularly in the context of dealing with the pandemic. India is one of the leading exporters in pharma, and our medical scholars are known world over. In fact, our medical scholars are rendering services across the globe, including the most advanced countries of the globe. According to Niti Aayog report also, healthcare has become the largest sectors, one of the largest sectors in the economy in terms of both revenue as well as employment. And India has been sizably further investing in this area. We are delighted and privileged to hear Dr. Krishna Ella deliver his keynote address on the topic India's ability in developing as World Health Capital, and he will share his views that how professionals we can contribute in this endeavor. Over to Dr. Krishna, please.
Much. I think I want to thank really respected Shri Nihar Jambusaria and respected Dr. Debashis Mitra, Vice President. I want to thank them for inviting me, and my friend Venkateshwarlu forced me to be here. I really do not know. I'm not a financial savvy person. I don't know how to read my balance sheet also. I'm admitting openly in the public domain. It's the truth. So anyway, I trust the chartered accountants to take care of those issues. So I only focus on 3-4 things. One, innovation. India can innovate. We don't want India to be a more generic country. We want India to be innovative, not copying the drugs, not making a generic. That's why our value realization is a very low level. And then second is how to de-risk innovation and how much cash is in the bank. And rest I will leave it to chartered accountants and financial people to handle the whole thing in the company. So I'm very simple thinking. So I think I was a startup, but I want to thank the government of India. I think this is the first time a government of India increased the budget from 94,000 crores to 223,000 crores. I think 223,000 crores, almost 135% increase in the budget. I think the government has done a significant job, what they can do at a given time of pandemic. They've done extremely good. And also they allocated 35,000 crores only for the COVID vaccine program, specifically allotted. And then again, Honorable Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar program has got 64,000 crores and focused on how to self-dependency can be created in the country. And I think it's a phenomenal ideas. And that too in a situation like this country we are going through, I think this is a significant budget that is government of India has given. I think I'm going to talk about very general things. I want to make people to think de-risk the risk of COVID issue. That was my intention right now. And you have 40,000 unknown viruses is right now living. It's there in the field, in the situation, in the society. And out of 40,000, 10,000 called zoonotic disease. Zoonotic means it goes from animal to human. And also animal to animal and then human. It can go in anywhere. So why is this zoonotic is getting into problem? Because of our urbanization, of a greed, of real estate. So what is we are doing? We are expanding our real estate towards forest area. The forests are getting deforested. So what happens? The animals which are living there, we are going close to them. When we go close to them, there are all the viruses which are present in the animal will jump to the humans. And that is what is happening, whether it is the rabies. You look at rabies. Rabies from dog disease to the human. Like MERS was a camel disease to animal, to the human. Like that, I can have so many diseases like that, hundreds of diseases. Even HIV was a monkey disease. Monkey disease because in Africa, people in the houses, monkey used to crawl around and the monkey disease got into humans. So that is a common thing is happening and it will increase. It is not going to decrease, it is going to increase. And I think, coming to the Indian industry, that is going to affect the travel and all that. But what is important is most of the developing world carries a neglected disease. Neglected means rabies is a problem in India, but not a problem in US and Europe. And you look at a lot of other cholera is a problem in Africa, but not a problem in US and Europe. So that we call as a neglected disease. This neglected disease, look at the neglected disease, mostly in the developing world, either China, India, and Africa. That's where the neglected diseases are there. You look at the most of the pandemic, like whether pandemic flu started from China, and look at COVID started from China, yellow fever started from China, SARS started from China, and MERS started some other place, but yellow fever started from Africa, chikungunya started from Africa, and Zika started from Africa. You look at it, most of the developing world harbor the neglected disease, and today's neglected disease becomes a global disease. And in the travel, and so much of adaptation, it goes into the other part of the world. That is what is happening today. It's not something, it has been happening, but we are not realizing it because now only this COVID has affected us, economy destroyed, so now everybody started realizing. But it was happening intelligently in a different manner before. So even chikungunya is a good example of travel. This affects things and all that. Coming to Indian vaccine industry, many chartered accountants would like to know what the Indian industry looks. Indian industry has got two type of business model. One business model, vaccine manufacturer want to supply what UNICEF wants it and want to be a contract manufacturer. That's a simple model. There's another model which we choose as a society-driven model. What society wants, what our country, India wants it. Let's focus on that. And also focus on neglected disease. May not be a market in the beginning, but focus on neglected disease, which will be a future problem. As a scientist, allowed to take a risk of neglected disease. And then that gives me a platform that not to compete with the multinationals. So differentiate ourselves from the multinationals. That's how we worked with rotavirus vaccine, children diarrhea, and we worked on typhoid conjugate. This is the first innovation coming from the developing world. And this is the first vaccine in the world launched from India. And Pakistan has got the highest burden of epidemic of typhoid problem, which are not responding to any antibiotic at all. You go to a doctor, you got say fever, they give you 3 antibiotics. Because of 3 antibiotics, now the typhoid has become resistant, not responding. Even 30 days, 45 days, fever continues. And this is the problem. Now we have solved some of the vaccine problem in Pakistan and Zambia, Zimbabwe, Myanmar, and those countries. And we export more than 123 countries. And then we have also chikungunya, Zika. We are the first company in the world to develop a product and also a global patent. We believe in that because Americans should not tell tomorrow, oh, Indians copied it. We don't want that tag. So we innovated, we filed a global patent, and with thanks to now CEPI funded us $14 million. Now we are doing clinical trials in 5 different countries. And even typhoid conjugate, we've done Oxford human challenge studies. Why I'm saying this, please don't think India is like a generic country. India is also transforming into innovative country, which we don't see that, but it is happening. It is happening without knowledge of us. It is happening quietly. Like me, like a startup in '96. So we are creating a different world, and the next generation also will create a future innovation of this country. That's what I believe in it. And thanks to Gate Foundation and Wellcome Trust, they gave $350 million to fund the clinical trials in more than 10 countries. Otherwise, I would not have been possible. I don't think any chartered accountant would have got me a funds from the bank to do the clinical trial, which are high-risk projects. And every clinical trial, we have to do at least, for example, rotavirus vaccine. It took 17 years to do clinical trials to bring the product. Typhoid conjugate, it took 11 years to bring the product into the market. Thanks to COVID vaccine, which has happened in 12 months as a vaccine candidate. That is because of changed game plan. So now I'm going to talk about COVID. And COVID, what has happened? It is from one animal to another animal, from another animal to human. Whether it's the leakages and all that, I don't want to get into controversy, but that is what the transition would have happened. And in that process, what will happen next? The same COVID, from human, it may go to animals again. And this circle will continue. Okay. And most important, remember, all viruses are non-living. It is not a living organism. If it is a living organism, it can multiply on its own. It cannot multiply on its own. That's why it attacks a human being and then uses our human machinery, everything our human machinery, to multiply the virus. Virus alone cannot multiply. It needs our body. That's why any antiretroviral drug you use, it has got a lot of side effects because you are focusing on the human machinery also. When you are attacking the human machinery, you get a lot of adverse reaction. That is why the antiretroviral drug has got a lot of side effects. Nothing to do with it, but it is because you are attacking the human machinery to stop the virus multiplication. That is what is happening. And also, this is the smallest genome. You look at the size of human being or an elephant, and the smallest genome, how intelligent it is. It is a non-living, but still is such an intelligent organism. I will not call as an organism, it's a chemistry. It's a physics and chemistry, nothing else. A DNA is a RNA, is made up of bases, chemistry. Nothing else is there. And that chemistry is controlling the human biology of the body. That's very interesting. Coming people talking about mutation and all that. Imagine a wife and husband having 5 children. 5 children looks different. The 5 children looks different because of mutation occurring. It is not a mutation in a negative sense, but reassorting of a RNA level at a protein level, there is a different controls mechanism happens. So you get a different features, different characters of individual. So mutation is happening within our human population. So not to worry that virus doesn't do. If virus doesn't mutate, we'll be concerned. Now what has happened? You saw the alpha. You saw the Brazilian strain. You saw the UK strain. You saw the South African strain, and you saw the now Delta Indian strain. What is happening? You look at Brazilian. Brazilian strain, very lethal, but it cannot transmit so fast. It cannot go to bigger place. Whereas UK strain, less dangerous, but it can spread very fast. And look at South African strain, it cannot spread fast, but it's restricted to South Africa itself, but not spreading much. Whereas coming to Delta, it's a lethal and also transmits. You see the permutation and combination, what happens between the 4. And that is what has happened in the Delta. It becomes now more mutant so that it can spread faster and it can be lethal. In 4th day, 5th day, it can really attack the human being and attack this one. And that is what the explanation of the COVID vaccine and COVID mutation is. Not to be concerned. What will happen next level? Will it become a next virulent, further virulent than Delta? I do not know. But there is a chance that it become a non-virulent. It become less virulent. Because it needs humans to survive so that it also can survive. So it's an evolutionary process between a virus and us, a mutual understanding between human being and a virus to build. If it destroys all the human races, then the virus cannot survive. So it needs to make the human being also to survive. That is what will happen in the mutation. That mutation might become even less lethal also. It might happen. Or it might become more lethal also. It cannot be worse than Delta, but it may be a little less or more or whatever it is, but it will not be that dangerous. I don't see that game will happen. It might become less lethal. So coming to Covaxin. So why I want to say the strategy is simple. When we built injectable polio vaccine plant, it took 4 years for us to manufacture BSL-3, set up a BSL-3 production facility for the injectable polio vaccine. Polio is a highly contained organism. It needs to be produced in BSL-3. We created a facility, 2 production facilities we created. Then the pandemic came. I just want to let you know that BSL-3 production facility. We are the only one in the world has got. Even China, US doesn't have BSL-3 production facility. But BSL-3 labs are present all over the world. Labs are different, production facilities are different. I think we have probably one of the company, including Bangalore and all of, probably the largest BSL-3 facilities in the world. We have 5 production facilities of BSL-3, which is very important strategy, particularly important for the country's future for any pandemic point of view. That's why I want to say nothing else, not to drag it on a business sense, more of a thing. And coming to, we partner with ICMR. The reason we partner with ICMR, because we want to really work, I truly believe in public-private partnership. Rotavirus, we built on Indo-US bilateral public-private partnership. The typhoid conjugate with public-private partnership with Oxford. Like that, we believe in a lot of public-private partnership. That's how we partner with ICMR and National Institute of Virology. The virus strain came. We produced in BSL-3 production facility. Imagine people has to work inside in a 500 liters fermenter where the live virus is produced inside. And somebody is not vaccinated. So that, just imagine what type of a scary situation is. All other vaccine which is produced by Pfizer, Moderna, Covishield, all are not lethal. It's easy to produce. Even in non-GMP conditions, it can be manufactured. But this is a highly contagious organism. It has to be produced by the human beings, has to produce. And we have done an efficacy trial. This is the probably 3rd country in the world to conduct efficacy trial in the world. After US, after UK, 3rd country to do efficacy trial is India. China could not do efficacy in China, but they've done a small trial in the Middle East and Brazil. But they couldn't do a bigger trial. But we have the largest clinical trial conducted in one center, that is phase 3 efficacy, which will be coming out of publication in soon. And so we submitted drug controller also. And 10 publications came out of this thing. We have more publications than a Pfizer or Moderna. So show to the world that we are scientific driven people. We are innovative driven companies in the country, not just copy. And also we use an adjuvant, which we license from National Institute of Health, Washington. We license that product, that molecule. That molecule we combine with the Covaxin. The reason why we combine inactivated vaccine produce IgG, but we don't want IgG. We want a long-term immunity. We shift to T-cell response. Many people are going to the diagnostic center to check the IgG. Please do not do that, which is a waste of time. Actually, they are making more money than the vaccine manufacturers, unfortunately. That is not good. So I think you don't need to test. Once vaccinated, you can be protected. Even if you get infection, just stay at home. You'll be all right. We have seen more than 96% of the people or 100% of the people doesn't get hospitalized. When you get a vaccine, you may get infection. Please keep in mind that vaccine doesn't give you 100% protection also. Something new like a Delta variant comes in. It really breaks down a little bit. So what we say is, when we have a infected, stay at home 3 days, 4 days, you'll be all right. You don't get serious. The problem is, we have such a middle class, rich people in the country, we get panic immediately. We go and load the hospitals. You look at the first wave. The first wave was loaded by the government hospitals. The second wave loaded by all the rich hospitals. And the first the wave has affected the poor people, urban poor and other people were affected. And then rich people thought, oh, it is not going to be there. It is whatever the government says, all ridiculous. There's nothing to worry about. I can go travel. I can travel everything all over the world. I can go on vacation. Everybody went vacation. They are the one who affected in the second wave. They are the one who got into the richest hospital. Today, in the balance sheet, the hospitals are made more money in the second wave. Okay, so I think why I'm saying this one, you see how it happened, and so much pressure by the press and media on us because they want to compare with us Pfizer and Moderna. It's good for us, nothing wrong in it, but a company startup from India to catch up with a $25 billion company to Pfizer is not an easy task, but we are heading in the direction, to move in the direction. But it will be a good milestone for the next generation people to follow us. And coming to the future, you don't have to worry about the future. The reason why I'm optimistic. I'll tell you honestly, I think we stop the TV channels watching, we'll get more positive news. I'll tell you why it is going to be future is going to be good. I know the Harish Salve said it is scary. It is scary. I'm not denying that. But what I can say is There's antiretroviral drugs are coming, which are the phase 3 trial, which should hit the market in next 3 to 4 months. And that will be a wonderful drug. It will give you in 5 days, you'll be free from the COVID virus itself in the body. And you are going to have too many vaccines into the market. You're going to have, now what you're seeing is 3 different type of vaccines in the market. One is mRNA vaccine, which is easiest one to produce. Actually, in the world, easiest one is to produce mRNA vaccine. And the second vaccine, vector-based vaccine. Vector means adenovirus, a virus of respiratory pathogen. You have a respiratory pathogen, attach COVID along with it. So you make that vector-based vaccine, which is Covishield, Sputnik, and all those vaccines are vector-based vaccines. And third is inactivated vaccine, which is like our Covax. So everyone has got a plus and minus points. So that you should know it, and I should not tell that right now in the public forum. But the monoclonal antibodies, a lot of monoclonal antibodies will hit the market in next 3-4 months. So there's nothing to be worried about it. My feeling is you will have COVID. We'll start living from next year. We have to be thinking it's like a flu vaccine, flu problem. That's how we're going to adapt. The virus also will start now, will not attack us, will start living with us, and then we will get a flu type of symptom. Then we take a vaccine if you want to. If you want an antiretroviral drug, we can take antiretroviral. If it's serious, we can take a monoclonal antibody. So, and also doctors have become smart to treat the patients now. So you have big management system in place. So you're able to treat patients also intelligent manner. So I think we don't have to be too much concerned. It's not that you should be avoiding the social distance, mask, all those things. You look at Israel. They have 100% of people are vaccinated with our mRNA vaccine. Now everybody is asked to put the mask. They have already Delta variant is attacking that country. And Delta has gone to Sydney. It has gone to Malaysia. It is now entering into China also. Okay. So I think we have to still maintain whatever the precautions being suggested. You should maintain all the precautions, but we need to wait until the transmission stops. You will ask me, when do you stop this? When will it stop? When transmission between infected person, if I'm infected, I'm talking, so I'm spreading the disease to others. So I have to stop, the infection has to stop in my body. If infection stops in my body, transmission stops. When transmission stops, infection stops to other person. So that change has to come. That change will take little time, but it will be on the way. Because we have, some of the states we have seen less of epidemic of COVID. That clearly shows they have got already vaccinated or they got infection earlier so that they get protection already. So we are seeing that, and I think I'm little optimistic that we don't have to be having too much of fear. My feeling is, but in probably 5-6 months, we'll start living with it and our economy will get back into the game. By January, we will be in full mode of economy and we will go. But again, don't say that somewhere sporadic incidents might happen. Sporadic incidents means suddenly in West Bengal, someplace it will come, but TV channels will blow it as if it is something is going to come on the entire country. Somewhere it come up in Assam, it might spore up. So in Kerala, something it will come up. But these sort of sporadic incidents might happen. You don't have to get scared. But the second wave is enough taught us in the country. And that is where the state government has to get activated now. State government has to activate, control some of the hospital management control. Today, every hospital, whoever has got 100 beds, should have oxygen generator. We don't depend on oxygen concentrator, generators, importing that. That's a sad part of it. State should take a control of the situation. And please advise, you're all, well connected to many of the top politicians and bureaucrats in the country. Please advise them to have every hospital should have oxygen generator, oxygen concentrator, invariably. That's the most important. Today, the fungus came because of the oxygen cylinders. The oxygen cylinders are contaminated so much, and even industrial oxygen also supplied to the people. That has got spreaded. Now that's spreaded to other places. The entire hospital ward is contaminated with the fungus. So we need to get into system. State has to totally control more than center. Center has to control. State has to control the hospitals on certain hygiene practices, some of the oxygen cylinders issues and all other things, and what are the emergency medical required in a state should have that sort of provision should be there. So trust me, you'll have more vaccines. So if you have cash, keep it with you. In 2 years, 1.5 years down, the lot of manufacturing plants will be for sale. Whoever's entered too many vaccine companies into the production point of view, they will not have business from next year onwards. So that is my hope for the country. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. And if any questions, I'll take it. If not, I'm honored to be there anytime to respond to email. Thank you very much.
On this session.
A very good evening to all of you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Krishna Ella ji, for this wonderful insight of the entire scenario. And I'm very happy to listen to you. You very rightly said that India is now on the path of innovation. We are not followers, we are leaders. We want the world to get things from us. I think that is really very wonderful. And another very important thing that Krishna ji talked about was that optimism. And I'm sure India in times to come is going to be more and more optimistic in each and every aspect. While Krishna ji was talking about this particular aspect, that it has to be a public-private partnership when it comes to disease, something which is affecting the society at large. Definitely, it is very much a statement, perfectly agree. And while he was talking about that, chartered accountant might not take you to the bank for this particular purpose. But sir, I tell you, now our chartered accountants are not restricting themselves to banks. Even for small ideas, startups, we have different funding mechanisms. We have angel investors, we have venture capitalists, and we have global finance access. This is how our chartered accountants are helping the economy, the corporates, the giants, as well as the MSME segment. This is how we are supporting the entire ecosystem, the entire economy, and we share the same optimism that we have. The topic is about the India's potential to become the world leader, and I'm sure about it listening to Krishna ji. Everybody must have felt that positive vibes that yes, India always had that intellect, while Krishna ji very candidly said that he cannot read balance sheet. Similarly, being a chartered accountant, I cannot understand virus and bacteria or any difference between that. But it is said that 93% of the human body is probably made up of virus, bacteria. I'm not sure. I've just heard about it, and this is how the human mechanism is there. And one of the optimistic statement I've heard from someone is that there will be some positive impact also. Some beautiful thing that Krishna ji talked about was about it is deforestation, because we are not allowing other animals to live. That's why these microorganisms are leaving their host bodies and entering into our bodies. And this is where the importance of the forestation, the green cover comes up, which can definitely where we Indians always believed in that that all the living organisms, all the organisms are life, and all lives are important. And by interfering in one life, probably we are disturbing ourselves also. This is a very glaring example. But when we listen to Krishna ji, the way he elaborated that, of course, in the initial phase, the human body could not immediately accept this virus, and the virus was lethal in certain cases. Now, sporadic cases might be there, but over a period of time, this virus is going to find, it's going to be with us, and there will be some, both the sides, positive and negative impact, but the impact is not going to be on a very high side. So there is no reason to be having too much of panic. Listening to him, being a chartered accountant, I can understand finance and tax only. But listening to him, I'm sure all our chartered accountant friends and all our chartered accountant students who are watching this program and all other friends, they must have got a very good insight of what it is about. At the same time, must have got that optimism that yes, India has all the right brains, and people like Krishna Ella ji are leading from the front, where we have the talent is going to be channelized in such a way that in times to come, when it comes to healthcare, if for IT sector the entire world could look at India in the next decade, I'm sure about it that for healthcare, the entire world is going to look at India. But along with that, my another hope is that for the entire finance-related services also, the entire world is going to look at India. When he talks about optimism, friends, can you just imagine 1.5 years back, we never met on Zoom or WebEx or Google Meet or something like that. We are reluctant to use these things, but today we are so very comfortable only because of this media. We get the opportunity to listen to such great people like Krishna ji. This is a boon. And you know, with this, in future, the financial world is going to change totally. Sitting in India, India is a country with brains. So when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to finance, our youngsters are going to play a very vital role in the years to come. And I'm sure after IT, it is healthcare and finance-related business auxiliary services like taxation and reporting, where India is going to definitely, show its mettle. Krishna ji, thank you very much for accepting our invitation, providing us this detailed insight. And we are really proud of you that you are doing something great for this nation, for the world at large, and providing that optimism. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I once again thank all the members and the students for joining us in our celebration of Chartered Accountants Day. I hope this association of ours continues and strengthens in the times to come. Thank you so much.